available to everybody. And it should be a public good that has good quality, it's accessible, it's in a market that's reasonable and affordable. That doesn't exist right now. There are inequities. The variables, when you think about it, you think about people, and we've talked about some statistics about people in terms of the lifespans have increased. We have 315 million people in this country, so over that same period of time, that's 100 years, our population has tripled. So there's an increasing complexity of need that's out there as well. We have a number of provider issues. What are the incentives for providers? Really, it's, you think about it when you have the push and pull of technology and providers. There's always this clinical pull, what the providers see in pulling the clinical needs and thinking about it from a technology standpoint. What's the technology there that can meet those needs or even leapfrog beyond what the providers are going to be anticipating for the future? It's a little bit of an osmosis effect. Not just two-dimensional when you have just two pots of water and one's going to move to a diffuse through a semi-permeable membrane so you have equilibrium. But it's looking at where that semi-permeable membrane is in the way that we manage healthcare. And the real issue is behavior. Behavior of people, patients, behavior of the providers, behavior of the market, behavior of public policy, behavior of research and development and our enabling of future medical advances, how we treat and teach medical education to our new providers, and how we educate a community. Technology is a big part of that. So alignment of all those goals and those variables is real critical, but we have to have behavior that allows for that. So the real question, I think, or the critical question is, not just can it solve it, but can Silicon Valley innovation change behavior to the extent that it can solve the healthcare crisis? I don't think it can. I think it is an enabler, but I don't think it can change behavior. Let me give you a couple of examples that use technology. The reference is made to electronic health records. Electronic health records have been around for 30 years in some mature systems. The Kaiser Permanente, the VA Medical Center, Department of Defense. I'm going to give us back here. This is really pushing it. But when you think about it, an electronic record, health record, gives incredibly valuable information about an individual that could be accessed by many providers at different locations. It can be accessed by the patient. And it also has features where if you de-identify it, it can be accessed by possibly insurers or employers who look at it and say, listen, out of all the employees that use this healthcare provider, I noticed that a high percent of my employees have high blood pressure. I'm going to do something as an employer to put programs in place that are going to approach wellness for high blood pressure. Maybe it's an in-service education for them. So it's really important. But if we really want technology innovation to take off, why don't we have a full system of interoperable health records across all health systems? We don't have that. And that's because behavior doesn't allow for it. Whether it's profit behavior, whether it's behavior of control over the proprietary healthcare record systems that exist out there, there are a lot of variety of variables that affect that. So behavior in that sense won't allow technology to be taken to its full advantage to help with the solution. So while I don't disagree with what technology's role is, it's not going to solve it because of our behavioral issues that are involved there. So we need alignment of the market, we need alignment of public policy, we need to create an efficient healthcare model, and we need to incentivize. The healthcare system, it's upside down. It's a sick care system. The majority of you probably, when you think about it, how often or how long did you go to see your physician last year? If you're in your 20s or your 30s, I bet you probably didn't go to see them. Or you may have spent 15 to 30 minutes in there. That's one data point for your provider to understand about you. Technology is going to allow for all these new data points with new devices that are going to get, whether it's the Up, the Fitbit, whether it's other devices that will be able to take biomarker information that will coalesce it into this huge database that hopefully someone will rationalize and be available for us. That's going to be real critical. That's going to be an advance. But at the same time, do we have the right fortitude, do we have the right mechanisms to really allow the behavior of all the various stakeholders that are involved in that to maximize that potential of that technology? I don't think we're there yet. So the bottom line is that in summary, when you think about the cost of care, and you think about the inequities in the United States, you have 5% of our population that make up for 50% of the healthcare costs because of chronic diseases, as was mentioned. We have a problem. And whether technology is going to solve that, it will help inform, it will help give some information that may be helpful to incent. But I think we have behavioral issues that really have to incent what does it mean to be healthy. So the most influential challenges to our healthcare system are the variables that govern behavior, a market that is inefficient and the system that is flawed and conflicts with incentives and irrational choices. That's what we have right now. I don't see behavior being changed by technology and innovation, and therefore I don't believe it's the solution to the healthcare crisis. Thank you.
Thank the Honourable Member very much for his speech, and now I look towards Malay Gandhi to continue the case for the proposition.
Thank you. Much of the discussion tonight has been about the past, or the things that we've seen and the problems in the current system today. And what I want to do is give you a glimpse of the future, of what's possible, what we're doing today actually in Silicon Valley to solve the healthcare crisis. Thank you, Gary. And Gary asked an interesting question at the end of what will that future be? And so I want to talk about the current standard of care for heart disease to illustrate the problems that we see today and how we're solving them. So for those of you that don't know, heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States, and 2 million people every year are diagnosed with heart disease. So imagine you or your mother or your father has a heart attack. It's a pretty traumatic event. And let's look at what the standard of care is for them today. And hopefully they recover in the hospital, and as they're discharged, they're provided a prescription for a blood thinner, usually warfarin. They're told to participate in a cardiac rehabilitation program, which is a structured set of exercises to help return your heart to good health. And then finally, they're told to check in with their doctor. And if anything happens where they feel chest pain, they should go to the emergency room, because they could be having another heart attack. It sounds pretty simple, right? All you need to do is take your medicine, follow this cardiac rehabilitation program, and go to the emergency room if you're feeling any chest pain. This is how it actually ends up working out. With the blood thinner, with warfarin, it's actually every one of us has a different sensitivity to that. And so 20% of people end up right back in the hospital because the dosing is so hard. They end up with excess bleeding. The cardiac rehabilitation program, you're given this stack of papers, basically a set of long-form instructions for all these things you're supposed to do. They're inhuman, they're not customized, they have nothing to do with you, they're not engaging at all. And what's really frightening, and has been brought up about the behavioral issues here, this is the only thing, cardiac rehabilitation, that's been clinically proven to reduce your risk of death following a heart attack. And you know how many people participate in the program? Not many at all. 3 out of 4, 75% of people never participate in cardiac rehabilitation. The programs are just not engaging at all. And then finally, this idea of what do you do when there's chest pain? Well, you just had a big meal, feel a little tightness in your chest. Is it acid reflux? Am I having another heart attack? I don't know, so I go to the emergency room. And this is where I run into the $40,000 medical devices, the $100,000 diagnostic tests. Why did I have to go do that? Maybe it's just reflux. So these are really serious problems that we have for somebody in heart disease. This is the current standard of care. If we look at what's possible today with technology, with Silicon Valley innovation, let me walk you through that again, through the warfarin, through cardiac rehabilitation, and through what chest pain looks like. First with warfarin, a company based right here in Silicon Valley, 23andMe. Each and every one of you can get a $99 test, and it will tell you what your sensitivity to warfarin is. And that's amazing. It might not sound like much, but clinicians, researchers at the Mayo Clinic found they could reduce hospitalization by 30%. That's real cost coming out of the system with a $99 test. Not a $100,000 test, a $99 test. That's warfarin. The second component, cardiac rehabilitation. At Rock Health, we incubated a company called WellFrame, and they've developed an app for the smartphone that moves this cardiac rehabilitation program, this 2 pieces of paper or whatever it is, to a smartphone app. It's customized, it's personal, it learns with you. And more importantly, every day it reports your progress to the doctor. So instead of coming in infrequently, maybe every other month and reporting on your progress, every single day the doctor can see your progress in the rehabilitation program. Not just you, but all of his patients. And if you remember, I was telling you about the engagement with traditional cardiac programs. Only 25% of people do them, and WellFrame right now is up and running at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, a great institution. 88